All right, so we're going to talk about coterminal angles first, and then we'll talk about the reference angles. So let's say we have the coordinate system here, and let's say we have an angle in standard position. Let's say it's 60 degrees, okay? So 60 degrees. So here's the initial side, and here's the terminal side. And we're saying, okay, this right here then, from initial to terminating side is 60 degrees. Now, for you creative thinkers out there, maybe you're thinking, well, I didn't want to go counterclockwise. I wanted to go clockwise. Well, you could do that, right? So I could have an initial side here, but go around this way, right? And that would also be an angle, right? On the other side, you know, initial, and it's much bigger, right? And that would be 300 degrees. Oops, negative 300 degrees. Okay, because I'm going the other way, right? Okay, so we call those, because they have the same terminal side, coterminal angles. They're not the same angle. So you have a 60-degree angle. That's this one right here, that little wedge, you know, right there. And then you have this larger one out here with a negative measurement this time. That would be negative 300 degrees. It's a different angle, but they wind up at the same spot, you know, on the same side, okay? So they're called coterminal angles, all right? Now, this becomes important. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have an angle that's like 900 degrees. So you're going like, okay, 900 degrees. There's 360, there's 720, and then I need 900, right? Okay, so 900 degrees. And I just went 720. So what does that give me left? 180. Okay, so I'm going over to here. That would be 900 degrees, right? So it was like 2.5 circles around, okay? We would say 900 degrees and 180 degrees. Okay, so let me draw the 180 degrees. So here's 180 degrees. Those are coterminal. So we don't memorize, you know, all the trig functions for 900 degrees. We just say it's going to have the same trig functions as 180 degrees. Now, I mentioned the word trig. We're not there yet, but that's what we're going to be going toward, okay? So because they're coterminal, we can do that. So those are coterminal angles. You could be going in a different direction, or maybe you're rotating more than one, you know, rotation around. And so you want to kind of like simplify it to a smaller angle that has the same terminal side. Okay? Reference angles are a little bit different. So we have, let's talk about a 30-degree angle. Okay, so say this is from here to here, 30 degrees. And then let's say we have an angle that's 150 degrees. So, and it's in standard position, but it winds up going over here. So it's going from here to here, and that's 150 degrees, okay? But if you look at that as a mirror image, think about, you know, your 30-degree angle and reflecting it about the y-axis, then you get, you know, this little like triangle over here that's very much like that 30-degree angle, right? Okay, so it goes to right here. That's 30 degrees right in there. Okay, and that's called a reference angle. It's not in the first quadrant, it's in the second quadrant, but it has that measurement that you can go by. And so we're going to do that. We're going to use reference angles a lot. If you go back to the unit circle that I talked about. There's a lot of special angles on there, right? There's like the quadrantal angles and then 3 special angles in each quadrant. So that's 12, that's like 19 angles. We don't memorize all that because we use reference angles, okay? So like I only memorize like 2 things in trig, and then I can find all the other angles, okay? And all the other trig functions and stuff. All right, so we're going to use reference angles. Now, the way to find reference angles is always go to the x-axis. Okay, so let me give you, just remember, always go to the x-axis. So let's say I have an angle, let me think of a weird one, 217 degrees, okay? So 217 degrees, that would be like, well, let me do it in orange. It'd start here, you know, on the standard position, so right there on the x-axis, and then 217 is going to be like over, not quite that far, maybe, about there. Okay, so say that's 217 degrees. Now, to find the reference angle then, you want to think about this angle right there. That's what I mean about going to the x-axis. Think about what is that degree right there. Okay, so you're at 217, subtract 180. And then that's going to give you a reference angle of 37 degrees. Okay? So the reference angle, so that's reference, and then there's my symbol for angle, 37 degrees. Okay? So reference angles are really important. Now, you're probably saying, well, what if? Okay, so what if I had an angle, like, we'll do 315. Okay, so that was one of our special angles. So 315 degrees is like over here. Okay, 315 degrees. But the reference angle is going to be right here. So what is that reference angle? 45 degrees. Now how do I get that? It's 360 minus the 315. So remember I said always go to the x-axis. So that's what we're doing. Whether you're in the 3rd quadrant, then you're going to go this way to the x-axis. If you're in the 4th quadrant, you're going to go this way to the x-axis. If you're in the 2nd quadrant, you're going to go down that way, right? We did that in the first example, to the x-axis. If you're in the 1st quadrant, you're already a reference angle, so you're your own reference angle.